How much gold do you actually need to make a bangle? Today, we're going to find out. So I'm Jan.
I'm Colinda.
And we're the Chunky Jewelers. We're going to have a hypothetical scenario where a customer brings in an amount of gold. And we have to try and work out what size bangle we'll be able to make for that person with the amount of gold they've given. So in our case, we've got 41.3 grams of 9 karat gold, and we want to work it backwards, like almost reverse engineer it and try and work out what size bangle we'll be able to get from that metal. A millimeter in a bangle usually equates to 2.2 grams. So for example, if you have a 1 millimeter bangle, if you have a 4 millimeter bangle, 4 times 2.2, then you're roughly looking at about 8.8 grams. That's usually with a nice D shape to the bangle, and on an average size of about 65 diameter. So what we can do is, we've got 41.3 and we allow a bit for wastage. So 41.3 divided by 2.2 is way off. So usually that formula works for up to about 8 millimeters. So 8 millimeter, 8 times 2.2, gives you about 17.6 grams. I usually have my bangles, 8 millimeter bangles, finish at between 18 to 20 grams, depending on how thick the customer wants it. If they want a nice chunky bangle, about 2.5 thick, then you're looking at about a 20 gram bangle. In our case today, we'll be making an oval bangle, and I'll explain shortly how to work out those dimensions. And we want to use not all of the gold, but majority of it. And we'll be making it to fit Colinda's hand. Well, I won't be making it. Colinda will be making it. And she said she's going to ask me all the difficult questions and to try and relate that back to you. So let's look at the measurements to start off with, and then we'll take it from there. So generally, when working out the circumference of a round bangle, or the diameter, so if you want the diameter to be diameter 65 millimeters, then you would go 65 times 3.14, which is pi, and that'll give you 65 times 3.14 equals 204.
Don't we allow for the thickness of the metal?
Yeah, well, we haven't worked that out yet. So what I'll suggest, let's scrap that, and let's say usually a bangle is about 1.5 millimeter to 1.8 millimeters thick. That's usually for a nice D-shaped bangle. And what I mean by D-shape is when the bangle does this, it's got a nice half round there and it's straight on the inside, so you got that D shape forming there. And we want that thickness to be 1.5 to 1.8 millimeters. So what we can do is do that again. We'll just add 1.8 millimeters there. So let's do that again. 65 times 3 times 1.8 millimeters plus. Jeez. I think I've never done this before. Times 3.14 equals. And
I'll do this part just in case.
Usually you add this twice. So what's that? 209.76. So we can round it off to 210 millimeters. Okay, so we're looking at 210 millimeters for the total length. But because we're going to do an oval bangle, not as badly oval as that. Lucky Colinda's not making this bangle, not me. And so what we want to do, we want to bring that in so that will pop out. But obviously we use a diameter 65, this will end up too wide once we squash this in. So we'll go ahead and measure Colinda's wrist. What you want to do is get your client to fold her hand in as far as she can. Then you measure across from the knuckle of the little finger to the knuckle of the index finger. So that is 65.5. So we'll do this. Do the oval. So that's 65.5 millimeters, and then we'll measure the wrist. Well, the hand. And you can push this in a little bit because it needs to fit over the hand quite snug, so it fits the wrist snugly. So I would put this at a 52. So that's 52 millimeters. Keeping up? Good. So what we'll do is the 65, and we'll still add the 1.8 again. 1.8 thickness. So do 65.5 plus, so it's that one. 65.5 plus the 52 millimeters plus the 1.8 millimeters. So 65.5 plus 52 plus 1.8 equals times 3.14. Then we divide that 374.6, divide that by 2. So we get 187, so that's divided by 2, and that equals 187.3 millimeters. So essentially what we'll do when we do the length of the bangle, what we want is that length to be 187.3 millimeters. So you can round it off to say 188, or like I might do, I've got a bangle stretcher now, so we'll probably bring it down to 186 or just 187 straight, and then we'll, once we get to the bangle stretcher, we'll just stretch it oval, and if we need to go slightly bigger we can.
Okay.
But I think that's my number we'll work with, so I think that'll be a good. And then what have we decided? We'll make this bangle 8 mil or 10 mil?
We'll see as we go.
Okay, so we'll head out to the workshop, and then Colinda would start melting the gold, pour it into a bar,
Ask all the questions.
and then we'll go on over to the rolling mill, start rolling it square first, and then we'll do some more measurements, and I'll run that by you as we go along. And once we've rolled it square, then we'll go flat. And at this stage, I think for this video, we'll just be making a flat bangle. We're not going to do a D shape. We potentially in the next video we'll take that this flat bangle that we've made today and show you how to convert it into a D shape. And potentially down the line, we're going to set some stones into that D-shaped bangle that we're making today.
You're welcome.
It's 5 o'clock Sunday afternoon, by the way.
In my office.
So let's jump to it. Let's go to the workshop and let's get started.
Okay, so first question of the day. In which ingot do I throw the metal once it's melted? Because I'm going to make a fairly white band, so it's no point in starting with the smallest one. So which one would you suggest?
So we'll probably go for this one.
This one?
Yeah, because we're looking at, if we're going to do an 8 to 10 mil bangle, we want to roll it to roughly, we want to roll it to approximately say 6 mil square, or 6.5 even. So I would go for the wider ingot, just to allow us to get that sort of a square rolled out on our roller. Answer your question?
Yeah.
We need a strong blue flame. Stronger. Move the head out of the flame. Out of the flame. There you go. Very good. Okay, so you just do a little easy close now. So while we're waiting for the acid to clean the gold, I'll give you a quick rundown on how we would roll the metal down to the measurements we need and how we get to the measurements. So essentially we are looking for a bangle that's plus minus 10 mils wide. So to get to that measurement, we would need to start with rolling your metal down to a square bar first. After you roll it down to a square bar, so we'll roll it, measurement you need at square will determine the width that you'll get in the end after you're rolling it flat. So my rule of thumb is I usually roll it down to about 6.5 millimeters square, and then once it's 6.5 millimeters square, then you roll it flat, compressing the metal down into a long strip. So with that metal being compressed, obviously when you're pressing down on the metal, the size would expand. So we want to get it down to about 2 to 2.5 mils thick when it's flat. So if you've got 6 and you're compressing it down to 2 mil or 2.5, the sides should expand with roughly 2 to 2 millimeters, 2 to 2.2 millimeters on either side. So which essentially would give us approximately a 10 millimeter wide piece of flat metal, or flat bangle for that matter. So in theory it should work. Let's see how we go. We'll probably have to roll it down about 6.2, but let's see how we get on. Now rolling this metal is not for the faint-hearted. Ideally you'd want an electric roller, but in our case we don't have one. So at this stage Colinda's rolling it down, or in the square. On the larger side first, and with being 9 carat, you might notice, just hand me the gold, so you'll notice on the metal it's not catching everywhere just yet, mostly on the sides, so that's compressing the metal in this way at this stage. So, and it's not 100, when we poured it, it didn't turn out to be 100% square, so, but we have a 9 millimeter width here, we need to bring that down to 6.2, 6.5 ish, and that should compress the metal in, and alternatively raise this up again just to bring it up to square. There we go. I can go a little bit more until we get rid of those little lines there, otherwise it's looking good. 1 or 2 more passes through the roller to do it.
Nope. 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. And we'll roll it down on that side. Get rid of that. And seeing that this side is wider than that side, only by a smidge, but I think we'll roll it flat on that end.
So we'll anneal it first.
Yep. So annealing only means that we actually warm up the metal and we actually change the molecules inside the metal, just to soften the metal up again essentially. So when you're rolling it, you're making it work hard, and then it also tends to get a bit more brittle when it gets to that state. So that's the reason why we need to anneal it. Can you notice what cherry red? Yeah, I think that'll do. Yeah, that's good. So a little trick I picked up over the years is quenching the gold into methylated spirits. Helps it to stay in its softened state for longer and without making it brittle again. Okay, so now it's time to roll it flat. I'm going to roll it flat till about 2.5 millimeters and we'll take measurements. Okay, now we've got our piece of metal all rolled out. So eventually we got down to 8 mil, slightly over 8 millimeters, and at 1.8 thick. So we've got our length, getting a little bit more than what we need, and you'll notice it's a little bit bruised because we had to hammer it straight. It went in a slight curve, but that's kind of all sorted. So next step what we'll do, we'll chop off one end to get that nice and straight, and then we'll measure, what's the length?
187.
187 millimeters, and then we'll chop that side, and then we'll bend it to like a C shape, just nice and round so the ends touch, and then we'll solder it, and then we'll go onto the bangle stretcher, make it nice and oval.
Okay.
Just like okay. So what you want to do is try and grip this side down and then bend it around like so till the ends almost meet. What we'll do, we'll go back to the bench and just bend those ends in towards each other, and then we'll probably screw up the joints and get it soldered.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just helping to lay out with this little section because you need a little bit of brute strength to bend this, and there's a little bit of technique in it as well. Just twisting it in. Especially being 9 carat, it's quite rigid. That's very close. So we shouldn't be too concerned about this being wider than that side, because we'll just file this nice and even. And I think next step would be just to run a saw blade through there, just to get it nice, that gaps nice and flush. The main concern in this case is to make sure that that bit there is fairly even with that bit there. With this we can still file away and true it up and everything, but this needs to be fairly level, so I might just twist that one a bit more. A bit too much. That should do. After soldering we can just hammer the side of it in, and then we should be good to go. Hey guys, Chunky from the future here. I'm busy editing this video and I thought I might just reiterate.
the importance of getting the join 100% flush and very, very close together. So when you solder it, the solder has not a lot of gaps to fill in, and that'll avoid having porosity after soldering. So that's why I spend quite a bit of time on this section, making sure that the join is nice and flush. The next step is you want to apply solder to your bangle, solder that join nice and tight, and what you need to do is warm up the whole bangle. I did not show it in this clip, but you want to apply heat to the whole entire bangle before you apply your flux and your solder. If you avoid this step, you will end up with problems and it will crack and break. Now that your bangle is soldered, you want to file those sides, get it nice and even, and I just generally like to see this when I take the file and file the sides, and then take it to sandpaper. Nice coarse sandpaper would be good, just to get those sides nice and even, and yeah, make everything the same width all the way around, and be sure to measure as you go along. And then doing it this method, you can obviously keep your filings nice and clean, keep them nice and separate. In the future video, we're still going to show you actually how to melt these filings. That's the reason why we're keeping it nice and clean, and how to show you how to recycle your filings. And the rest of it is just cleaning up. You know, it's a mundane process, but it needs to be done. I realized actually that I didn't show all the footage of the bangle stretcher. We'll be doing that next. So if you have a bangle stretcher, before you take the bangle to the stretcher, you want to anneal it. And we've discussed the annealing process. It's just to soften the molecules in the metal to make it more malleable. In this case, we first stretch it round, and as you can see, the bangle didn't fit properly on the stretcher. I'm still getting used to this bangle stretcher. It's a little bit of a different method that I'm used to. So yeah, so just the process of excuse me, process of finding the right size die to fit the bangle, and make sure you get it nice and round. And once you achieve that, then you can go over to the oval stretcher and follow the same process again. Obviously I annealed it before we went to the oval. And that's about it. So that's going to bring us to the end of this video. So I'm going to make this a two-part video. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel to see part 2, because this video is getting a bit long in the tooth, about 27 minutes, 28 probably after this bit. So I thought it best to stop the video right there, and we'll pick it up again next week, where Colina will be finishing up the bangle, shaping it, and we'll probably end up doing it half round as well. So that might be something you could look forward to. And as always, let me know in the comments if you have any other questions or any suggestions for future videos. Like I mentioned in this one, we'll be doing a video where we show you how to refine your filings if you keep them clean and separate. So that's something to look forward to as well. Yeah, just like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I appreciate all the new subscribers that's joined the community. It's been awesome, it's wonderful, it's great, and hopefully we can keep this bus going. Thanks again for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Chunky Jeweler out.